Have you been trying to get your budget figured out for next year? How much you're going to spend on media and marketing and promotions? I've got something that will help you do that extremely well. It'll also help you lead your team so that everybody knows what's good, what they're doing for next year as far as media and promotion and marketing. And it'll create alignment on your church staff so that everybody is on the same page when it comes to events and what they get for their promotions. My name is Michael Prasad. I'm a church brand guide. This is where we serve you as your virtual communications director to provide clear strategy because we believe that confusion is the enemy of your vision. So I want to show you this structure. It's a tier structure. We're coming from an agency dynamic. And in an agency dynamic, we serve many churches across the country. And they have all different types of events happening. So we have to be extremely organized. And so we've created some systems. And one of these systems is amazing. It'll be a game changer for you if you're a communications director or a pastor who's just in charge of communications at your church. This is called a tier structure, and it's where we go ahead of time and make some arrangements so we know exactly what we're doing next year for our promotions and how much it's going to cost. First, you have to create a list of all the events that you're doing for the year. So on this board, you may or may not be able to see it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to point out what's going on. Create a list of all the events that you know are happening for the next year. Now, you're going to know that Easter is happening and Christmas. Maybe you're going to do something for Mother's Day or Father's Day, a women's conference, a men's conference. Just create a list of everything you know you're going to be doing for the next year and have it completely laid out on a piece of paper or a document. What you want to do next is create another list. And on this side of the list, it's all the different media promotional types that you have at your disposal in the church. So think about your print media. What types of things do you do that are print media? Maybe it's a bulletin, invite cards, maybe it's a flyer, poster, banner. Write them all down. What are all the options that you have in your church to promote something in print? Same thing with digital. What is your digital ways to promote things? Maybe that's a screen like in your auditorium, or a Facebook ad, or maybe it's an Instagram post. Anything that is digital, like a screen of any kind, list all those things out. So at the top here, I have all the screens. In the middle, I've got all the print. And at the very bottom, I have video. So maybe you do video announcements, or maybe you have the ability to create actual commercials for different things. List those items under the video category. Now, what you want to do after you've done that is create a tier 1, tier 2, and a tier 3. You can make tier 1 the highest level, and maybe tier 3 is the lowest level. Then you just want to list everything out here and designate what is it that a tier 1 gets. So a tier 1 might get everything. So it gets maybe a screen, Facebook, Instagram, maybe it gets the invites, bulletin mention, it gets video announcements and a commercial. It gets everything. Then maybe tier 2 gets a little less, or half of that, as far as like what they get for promotions. And then tier 3, maybe it's just a couple items that they get. So the idea is this. The resources that you provide are going to be determined ahead of time based on a tier 1, 2, or 3 system. Once you have this down, then go back and take a look at that list that you provided earlier of all the events. And then determine what is a tier 1, 2, or 3. So maybe your women's or men's conference, maybe those are tier 2s because Easter is a tier 1. So Easter is probably your biggest outreach event for the year, maybe in the context of your church. So it gets a tier 1 designation, and maybe Christmas gets a tier 1 designation. It just gets everything you could throw at it. And maybe your men's and women's conference goes to a tier 2, and then maybe you have something like maybe a young adults outing, and it gets a tier 3. It's not a huge event. It's mostly communicated internally among the people in the church. So it gets a tier 3. So now you have a way to determine how many resources happen for each event, but you're doing it well ahead of time. And the great thing about this is that you can get buy-in in November for what's going to happen for the next year so that everybody's on the same page. In the communications in department, if you have one, a communications department, and also in the ministries that you are serving. Everybody's on the same page. You're making the designations and getting approvals well ahead of time, and then the rest of the year, you get to just execute, and your team just gets to execute. So you're able to lead better, and you're able to be a better steward of the resources that you have. And then you could probably see here real easy how this translates. If a tier 1, let's just say it gets $1,000 of budget. It takes $1,000 to accomplish all those things. Let's say a tier 2, that might be, let's say $400. And then a tier 3, let's say that is free. Everything that can happen in a tier 3 to promote something is just free. So now all of a sudden, if you have 5 tier 1s for next year, you know there's $5,000 right there that you need. And if you have, I don't know, maybe there's 7 tier 2s, well then you know there's $2,800 needed to accomplish all those things. And then all the tier 3s, they're free, so you don't have to budget for that. But all of a sudden, now you have a way to plan your budget for next year. It's going to be fairly accurate. And if you get buy-in right now from the director of the women's ministry that, hey, you're going to be a tier 2, are you okay with that? Here's everything you get. Then that's awesome. They're on board with you. You know exactly what to produce. You could produce stuff a month or even 2 months ahead of time. How awesome would that be that you're able to produce materials for promotions weeks in advance? That's something that doesn't happen a lot in churches. I'll tell you by experience, like this has worked extremely well. We use this to serve our clients, but we also use this internally. We've done it where we consult with churches and we just apply this, and it's worked extremely well within a communications department. So hopefully this helps you out for planning your next year. It's budget season. Everybody's kind of thinking through what their budgets are. Use this for your budget, but use it anytime. Like if you want to just lead better, if you want to create alignment in your church, which is going to be amazing and powerful. One of the things we say around here is that confusion is the enemy of your vision. This is just another way to give you clarity where you can be planning ahead of time and everybody can get in on the same page. The lead pastor, executive pastor, ministry pastors, associates and directors and assistants, everybody can see this well ahead of time, agree on it. We lock it in and we're good to go, and it's amazing what will happen. So once again, hopefully this helps you out. My name is Michael Prasad with Church Brain Guide. On my screen, you'll probably see here that I have just a look at what this looks like. We just created a Google document out of this. So this Google document is showing what this looks like in a just more robust way. This is very simple up on the screen. But take a look at that. Maybe this gives you an idea of a document you can create for yourself. In fact, if you would like this document, maybe leave a comment and maybe I can get this to you somehow or create a resource. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably create a resource if there's enough comments where you could just get this from me. I love the details, so maybe you don't love the details, and I can maybe get this to you as a free resource that you can download, and hopefully it helps you out. So Michael Prasad with Church Brain Guide. I'll see you next time.